Hey there, everybody, what's good? And I am today sharing my best case study of all time. This literally blew off my career and took me from struggling at $6,000 a month through email copywriting to $61,000 a month. It's been an absolutely insane year, so sit back, relax. This is a live stream to my private community that I decided to release to this YouTube channel. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. This is going to be a hell of a ride, and you're going to learn more than most gurus teach in most big courses because I have more social proof than most people out there. So enjoy. How I 2.53x'd a nine-figure client's revenue per contact. For people that don't do email marketing, this is actually a very challenging thing to do because this client is cranking out hardcore numbers and they've already hired plenty of people and who have tried to take a crack at this. And they weren't able to do it. And the way I did it actually was through a series of simple steps that sound complicated, but if you break them down in a simple way, you can do them too for your client, which can get you insane similar results. So it's all due to my 17-step email profit formula. And I currently just closed somebody right before the sales call for $10,000 for 10 calls. And it's me just like breaking this down in their business. And so there's a lot of money here, guys. And honestly, I should have charged him more. He's a nine-figure client as well. He didn't bat an eye at it, because these nine-figure guys, they talk to each other and they spread my word around. I'm also talking to specific people that I can't exactly mention yet. But yeah, another nine-figure client is in the hopper. And yeah, it's crazy what's possible when you learn this stuff. So this is a high ticket coach edition. And the ecom edition is slightly different. Maybe I'll do a separate encore on that version later. But for now, let's do this. Because honestly, high ticket coaches are the best type of client to get because their margins are very high and they can afford your service. And the emails are just way more easier to learn as a beginner versus like taking a stab at ecom and trying to learn design and all that. And you don't have to, but we'll discuss that on a different call. But first, not all you guys know who I am. So let's start from the top and let me introduce myself. Here's some social proof, basically, on the 2.53x increase per contact. So yeah, this was pretty bonkers. The goal is $1 a lead now, and this is a huge list, and they also didn't really take care of it. So a lot of them weren't nurtured and weren't sent to, so I'm re-engaging them, but this number is climbing as we speak on autopilot. So and here's another case study. So I took a client recently with a protege Theonte from 13K a month to 313K my first 60 days with them. And it's all due to this system, which is really powerful because now this client never questions the price of anything when I say like, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that. Like he's just like, boom, 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 doesn't care, just pays. And so I make like nearly 12 to 15K a month from this client, like clockwork. And yeah, it's really interesting. So my name is Christian Davis. I'm a full stack email marketer and email deliverability expert. And I turned into one from being an email copywriter because I realized that I wanted to have the most power and know how to send the emails for my clients so that I could retain them, so I get more consistent retainers and have a better offer. But backtrack, it wasn't always like that. Back then, I actually used to work at Costco 4 years ago, and I got this nasty degreaser in my eye that I'm spraying right here in these ovens. It's right down there. And it actually burned through one of my coworkers' smock right here, the apron, and his shirt, and made his nipples black. And so I got this in my eye, and I'm on the phone with the doctor, and I'm like, "Am I gonna ever see it in my eye again?" He's like, "Son, I don't know." And like that was just one thing. It was a really difficult job in general. Like they really treat you like crap there. And so the gist of this is I was desperate to get out of there and I knew that there was more to life. And when I was YouTubing people online and seeing them make tons of money on the internet and living in penthouses and driving their dream car and paying their family's bills and whatever they want, not worrying about it, like I knew this was possible and it drove me freaking crazy. So I had to start waking up at 3:30 a.m. every single day so I could work before my day job and make this happen. And
this isn't exactly required, but for me in this situation, it was. So there's me in my outfit. I'm pulling a Heisenberg right there. I look kind of funny. And that's a photo shoot I took about a year ago with my photographer. Shout out to Ethan. So I decided, fuck it, I'm gonna quit. And after I did it for 4.5 years, I wrote 3 books and made very little off of them and had very little savings. This right here was the exact moment I decided to quit my job. And I was very ecstatic. I climbed to this mountain and made like a ritual of it. And then there's me about to turn in my resignation letter to my boss with my book. This was right before I pivoted to copywriting. So I moved to Mexico and I'm like, okay, the book publishing thing is going to work. I need to learn copywriting. I went full digital nomad. I had very little money. So I moved into a cartel infested ghetto for $300 a month. And I found a copy job for $2.90 an hour. I knew I needed to get around people like similar to how you guys are getting around me today and my team. So I created a mastermind from Facebook, and it was called like the Writers Meetup. And so it was a bunch of copywriters, and all of a sudden I go from knowing nothing to having some authority and hanging out with people that are making more money than me, such as Matt, who at the time was making like 14K a month. And he's crushing it. And Will here ended up introducing me to an email copy course that got my foot in the door with Troy Erickson. So here's a picture of the ghetto. And then this was a gym near my house. So it was a ghetto, but it was actually really nice because they had this cool outdoor gym there. And then, so yeah, there's the nomad picture, stereotypical. And so anyway, I approached Troy and I said, similar to a few of you guys here on this call, I just said, "What's up, Doug? I want to make you rich. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and I'll move in with you if you want, and I'll just be your house butler and take out your trash. I don't care. Like I'm just here to learn, just there to serve, because I'm no stranger to working for very little. Not saying you guys need to, but I'm just sharing my journey. And so there's a picture of us. I'm very happy. Like at this point in my life, like I'm making 5K a month and I'm crying tears of joy every morning just by looking outside and seeing palm trees and stuff and not being at that Costco or the cartel infested ghetto. Um, yeah, and right before this all happened, I actually someone broke into my courtyard when I was in Mexico at 3 a.m. and I slammed my body against the door. And I just prayed that they weren't going to screw with me. And at that moment, I knew I had to make something work. So that's what pushed me forward to approach Troy, be like super balls to the wall like this. So we became close, and I ended up learning a lot from him. Fast forward to today, I fulfilled my promise to my grandma that I made 10 years ago, and I'm officially paying her bills, which is insanely satisfying. Nothing is happier or nothing is more satisfying on earth for anybody that hasn't done it yet. And that alone is enough to get you motivated to be a full stack email marketer because let me tell you, like, no amount of nice stuff will replace like knowing your family's taken care of and not being able to stress about it either. So here's some more proof. Went from $2.90 an hour and living in cartel infested ghetto to May. I just took the screenshot to $61,000 nearly in a month. So if you want the same thing, listen very closely because this is my craziest call yet. I'm literally giving you the family farm. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, I really should turn off the recording right now and stop because, like, but you know what? I believe in abundance, and the more I give, the better the world will be. So let's go. Let's do this. Here is the 17-step email profit formula, and we're going to speed through it right now. Then we're going to dissect each piece bit by bit in a moment. So engagement tagging and tracking is number one. Get out of the promo tab. Shout out to Troy Erickson. Daily emails to abandoned cart, welcome sequence, application and book a call, browse abandon, upsell, downsell, buyer automations, unsub secret, shout out to Troy Erickson, deliverability and Glock apps, SMS and email swipes for closers, re-engagement workflow, custom promo creation every 3 to 4 months, and removal from blacklists, call show up rate, book a call confirmation, post call workflow, but not disqualified, disqualified nurture sequence, and no show sequence. Okay, so don't worry if you don't know what that means yet. I'll explain this more in depth. Okay, so Engagement tagging and tracking. This is for email softwares that you're sending from that don't track opens and clicks already. Most of them have taken care of that by now, but a few of them, such as GHL, don't do that automatically. ActiveCampaign also used to not do it automatically. And what I mean by this is I'll show you an example of one in here. And the money is in like learning like the details and tech like this. Like I just got off 2 sales calls. I closed 2 people, made 11K extra today. I have another person that agreed to 7K and I have another person that agreed to 6K. So this is a really good week. Um, so I would pay close attention. And I'm not even good at sales too. All I do is like get them on a sales call and I start breaking down this stuff and showing them what I know. And it's like the end. So just study this very carefully. You're going to have a bunch of triggers. And whenever they add an email, or whenever they open an email, or whenever they click an email or visit a page, they are going to get removed from this automation. Don't worry about what this automation is. It'll make sense in a second because I'm about to share it. And then it'll remove them from the exact same automation. And then it ends this one. And so this loops automatically. And let me show you why. So here is the exact automation I was talking about here. These are the triggers, and it sends everybody that opens and clicks the emails into here. And now they start flowing down here. So they get these tags. First tag is 7-day openers. Then you remove it. Then you go on all the way up. And so this is how you track people that open and click your email so that you can segment and make sure you're sending to as many people as possible. This is the biggest sledgehammer you can possibly swing when you walk into a new client's list is learning how to segment properly. It all comes down to learning how to track opens and clicks properly. So do not sleep on this. Second, you want to get your client out of the Gmail Roma tab and get them into primary. And I would do this by testing it. I can't talk about this too much because this is Troy Erickson's offer. So shout out to Troy. But if you don't have that, don't worry. Like it's not necessary, but it's really helpful. But it's not like how I get my clients and stuff. Like a lot of people will use that as their unique mechanism to get clients, and that's not me. I leverage a bunch of other stuff. And once you start tracking everything, you can leverage these things as well easily. Third is a daily email. It's pretty self-explanatory. The more you send, the more you make usually, but I find it kind of drops off with the gains and like ROI after sending one a day. So if you send 2 a day, it's too much. Okay, next we have, this is for high ticket coaches that have a front end webinar. And this is huge. Okay, so the way you set it up is you have a webinar, all right, and then you have people that register for the webinar. You set up the webinar with this software called Wistia, and then you have Zapier trigger an automation inside of ActiveCampaign that will send re-engagement emails to people that registered but did not attend. So it's just getting them to register to the webinar. So you can do the same thing with attended. So anybody that attended but did not see the price, if we're pitching directly, can get a separate email sequence. Now, these two start at the top of the sales process. So we're starting at the very beginning of social proof and stuff because they haven't watched enough of the webinar to be able, to have any other process. So we have the did not see CTA people. That's very similar to attended. That's pretty much the same group. And then you had people that watched the entire video until they saw the call to action, which is the price. So now we can trigger an email automation that sends emails that go directly for the jugular, which is objection handling, logic closing, FAQ emails, etc. So this is where you start to blend the strategy of sales, like deep sales tactics, like with email marketing automation strategy. And this is when you become like really like powerful, when you just combine a bunch of golden BBs together. And yeah, it's insane actually how powerful this is. And then abandoned carts. Whoops. So anybody that clicks off of the webinar or the Evergreen VSL and goes to an abandoned cart or a page, they get an abandoned cart email, and it's going to be very similar to the SAW CTA email. So, um, also, a good, important piece of information to know about this is the entire sales cycle. I prefer Russell Brunson's perfect webinar formula as a refresher on the sales cycle. So you start with building social proof, or building trust, social proof, selling the dream, especially for BizOp, and that's the emotion side of it. Then you start to rationalize it with logic. So then you have objection handling, FAQs, etc., and then you close off and make them take action with urgency and or scarcity. And then finally, a hint of ethical fear, which is what Russell Brunson calls it himself. And a way to use fear ethically, because a lot of niches like finance and survival will use it unethically, but the way to do it is just say, like, you have two choices email. Like, hey, first name, like either you take action now and join the course and you can get similar results to so and so if you do XYZ step, social proof, or you don't take any action, your life stays the same. That's one way to word it. And it's a really, really powerful email, especially for audiences that are scarce on time or money. Because people that are scarce on time or money, they just don't realize like how important your offer is, and they don't have the urgency to take action now. So they're lost somewhere in the sales cycle. Then you have the welcome sequence. So this can function a lot of different ways, and also, well, the sequences I had earlier can also function as welcome sequences. So in this case, this means any email sequence that delivers a lead magnet. So you've probably seen those free plus shipping book funnels that Russell Brunson has, or Dean Graziosi, etc. You can also do free trainings. It's working really well. But it's like disguised as a webinar that sells them. And or just a straight up application, like if it's more like career help, just like book your call and we'll have a career advisor look over your application. That works as well. Okay, so here's another insanely juicy bit. I would pay close attention. I would take notes right here because this is what's kept around clients. Like I had a client one time that told me from day one, they're like, hey, just a heads up, we're very fire happy. And I don't make my clients sign a contract, so I'm month to month. So I have to back my shit up every single freaking day. And I keep all my clients. Ever since I left Troy, I kept all of them except for one. And it wasn't my fault. I healed his deliverability issues, but he basically didn't run any traffic to his list for years. And so I was just dealing with leads that weren't buying, but the clicks were insane. The clicks were like 13%. I took him from 1% clicks to 13% clicks in 2 months, like we agreed. And I recovered the spam issue and fixed it completely. But I digress. So I did this for a client and it was so powerful. Like we booked so many calls. And so the strategy with this is it's like an abandoned cart, but it sends emails based off of if the contact finishes their application or if they book their call. So you have the application first. And if they don't book it, they get emails saying, hey, finish your application. If they do book it, they get emails saying, hey, book your call. Now, if you have an automation and it's already very long, your open rates can start to drop if you're not segmenting inside of the emails. This means that if you don't control the amount of people that get the email, you can get open rates that are less than 20%, which can send the account into spam. So instead of getting fancy and like being complicated with segmenting inside of an automation or email sequence, you can start sending to this group of people as a segment in the broadcast section. And so that way you're hammering these people every single day. So why would we have people that show large intent, and then just not follow up with them every single day? It's crazy to me. So like this, most people don't do this. And like, I'm giving you guys sort of gold right now. Like if you want to go pitch high ticket clients and say, hey, do you have an application book a call browse abandon sequence? It's made my clients XYZ amount. You can go like get clients so easily that way, especially if their current email person is just an email copywriter and doesn't know what they're doing and doesn't know how to improve stuff, like you can go like take their client. I don't really condone that, and I recommend you guys be ethical, but you know what I mean. Like it's kind of impossible. Like when you get to like really big high level clients, like 9 figures, 8 figures, 7 figures, like of course they've already had an email person take a stab at it. It's just about like who can perform it better. So, and I back it up. Like don't have a contract in place and lock them into it. You just have to be better. And so, yeah, I'm playing king of the hill with my big clients. Like I'm beating down people as they're running up, trying to take my job. So, you know, it's a cycle of life. Upsell and downsell sequences. So this is for buyer automations. So this is for clients that have a ascension ladder, as Russell Brunson calls it in .com Secrets. So they have a low ticket offer, like a free plus shipping book funnel, and then they ascend to like maybe a 2K coaching offer, and then they have an accelerator that's more hands-on coaching after that for like, let's say 5K. That's like the general model that a lot of these high ticket coaches have. So if somebody shows interest and wants to buy, then you want to send them more emails to get them to keep purchasing. And if they say no to buying at a certain point, then you can always go back and downsell them. So here's a little sneak peek on a future lesson. This is what I show clients like while I'm closing them. And that's why I'm closing like ridiculous amount of clients right now. Like, I mean, not a ridiculous amount, like only amount that I can handle, but you guys know what I mean. Like, so yeah, basically in short, this is just, do they buy? Yes or no? If not, then they go to a different sequence that either downsells them or upsells them. And we start with the welcome sequence or wherever they enter the funnel, the email funnel, and then it eventually leads to the daily broadcasts at the very end, because this is our testing playground to like create emails and put them back into the automations, which are each of these blocks right here. But anyway, I'll show you guys that on a different call if you guys request it. I also show clients another thing when closing them live, but yeah, I'll cover that in like a closing session and how you can like charge more than anybody else. Okay, so we have the unsub secret next. That is Troy Erickson's offer. So I can't release too much information on that, but it's really good. However, like if you're just getting started, like I would get some of this other stuff down before considering it. One moment. Okay, next. This, I know this sounds like kind of a scary word, but it's actually not that complicated and it's pretty simple to do. Um, I should have put Glock apps in here because honestly, I'm way more of a fan with Glock apps. Let me go back. My trackpad's a little funny right now. Okay, cool. So yeah, deliverability. Basically go to glockapps.com and run a deliverability test there, and you can see the inside of their account and see, okay, what percentage of emails are hitting spam, what percentage of emails are hitting primary, and what percentage of emails are hitting the tabs. Keep in mind with any of these tools, they're more of a suggestion. They're not like this is the law. Like if you run a Mail Genius test and it says you're hitting 80% spam, don't freak out and message me. I mean, you can if you want, but I'm just going to tell you it's not a big deal because these tools are meant to be taken with a grain of salt. Like the sample sizes of the emails they're sent to are relatively small. Like they're under 1,000, which is a statistically insignificant sample size, but it's all we have right now and it's better than nothing. So just use a tool that has a higher sample size, such as Glock apps. That's why I'm a fan of it. Mail Genius is good too. It has a sample size of 80. It's also like accurate, but just pick and choose the one you want. And then tools such as Mailwarm or Mailreach to warm up your client. That's like more advanced, and that's if they have a spam problem. And there's nuances to that to make sure that you're staying within the law and compliance. So just like ask before you do something like that. But it's still a powerful tool for specific circumstances. Okay, next is SMS and email swipes for closers. So this means emails and SMSs that they can send manually to their leads to close them. And these are not going to look like direct response copy. A lot of copywriters will do that. Instead, it's going to look like you're going to purposely add a little bit more fluff in there, just a tiny bit like, hey, how are you doing? First name, something like that. Just don't ever say the phrase, I wanted to. especially if you're going to follow up with, I wanted to reach out, and it's like, no one cares what you want. So like, I'm super picky with copywriting. Like maybe I'll do a free copy breakdown session. Cause like, I am strict as hell. I think there's a reason why I got this screenshot here from Layla Hermosi. I don't know if you guys can read that or not. Um, but yeah, so like I am insanely picky with copy, and every single word matters. Next, we have the re-engagement workflow. So I'm going to give you guys a sauce right here for free. Can't believe I'm doing this, but the emails that work the best have the subject line test, and I would send that first. And then the second one, I would use free gift, and then find a way to do that. And for the test email, you just basically tell them, like, have any excuse to use the word test, inside the email, like, hey, would you like to test out our so and so offer? We have a 90-day money back guarantee. Um, and now sometimes if you word this email wrong, it can get higher spam report rates, but it works insanely well. Also, shout out to Troy for teaching me that. That's insanely smart. The way it works is because you have the word test, and when email service providers send emails, they often add the word test in there, and it's trained by the domains. I mean, it's being opened all the time by people that are sending test sends. So it's training the domains and the servers that's a really strong subject line to use. So you can open up a segment and send it to more people. So it's perfect for a re-engagement email. Now, the rest of this, the copy is the easy part, honestly. Let me guys show you an example of what can happen when you have a good re-engagement sequence. Let me zoom out here. This is a little nutty. Okay, cool. So I have this loom here, and I re-engaged 80% out of 96,000 people with those exact two emails I showed you. And I recovered 32% of this other ecom brand here. And then I also recovered 32% out of 75K here. And I just ran another one this week, and I recovered 19% out of 32. So pro tip, this is a super, super effective way to get a client, because all you do is you get on the call with them. You do a screen share, you open up their back end, and you create a segment for all the unengaged people. It's basically everybody who's still subscribed, but isn't getting daily emails or automations or anything. That's the re-engagement sequence. And then so you can say, hey, what would it be worth to you for me to get you 20% more of these people? Like, let's do the math right now. Get out your calculator and be like, that's 20,000 leads, man. Like, what's your conversion rate? What's your AOV? Oh my gosh, that's like 6 figures in lost money. You're just sitting here. Like, do you want to get this taken care of today? The price will be 7K, by the way. 7K a month till it's fixed. And then they're like, oh, I went to this call thinking I was going to pay 4, and like, okay, no duh, let's just do it. All these small hacks and tweaks like make you insanely powerful when you get on the call, like to close people. Like if you just start crunching numbers and breaking down stuff, they're just like, holy shit, this guy knows what he's talking about. Like I'll give him whatever amount of money he wants. Like I wouldn't be surprised if in the future I'm charging 10K a month for retainers. And one final thing before I move on, this is a little bit tricky to set up deliverability wise, the as far as like how you flow people through there tech wise. We don't have a lot of time to talk about it today, but the gist of it is, for every 20,000 people, I would only send the re-engagement email to about 500 people. And this is what I've tested and worked across all my clients, that it doesn't hurt the deliverability. And I constantly run deliverability ports for all my clients, like at least once a week. And so I can see if it's working or not, or if it's damaging the account. So you can learn from my mistakes and take that ratio and not send your clients into spam. You're welcome. And it's like this stuff, guys, is not taught in courses. Like the only way you learn this is by working with giant clients and like failing and then improving and getting better. And so like I don't want you guys to go through the failures and like look your clients in the eyes and be like, yeah, I'm making money off your dime. Like you should have like a coach or a mentor or a course or something to teach you, so that you can stand on someone else's shoulders and go up from there. And like that's how you get really good results really quickly as a freelancer. I mean, like my rent 3 years ago was $300, and You guys have seen my stories probably, and you know where I live now with a few of the ocean stuff. So a lot can change quickly if you learn this stuff. If you get honestly, if if I taught somebody one on one, like I could probably get them that result like within a year or two, as long as they were like really on point, sharp, and like dedicated and willing to work every day. I could get them to wherever they want in a year or two, maybe less. But yeah, this is less of like a biz op opportunity, and this is like a hardcore like career. So just like try to shift your perspective around that, and like don't view this as like write an email a day and make 10K. Like view this as like, hey, I'm a master of this career, and I know along the way I'm gonna get rich as fuck. So anyway, that being said, let's talk about making our clients rich as fuck, because that's where you want to focus first before you focus on anything else. Because like if you worry about your client's bank account more than your own, especially in the beginning for the first year or two, like you're gonna jump leaps and bounds ahead of everybody. Like you'll be meeting with people that you met in the beginning of your journey. You'll be like making four times, five times more than them, and you'll be like, it's because you weren't as worried about like every little dollar. So this is a super in-depth topic. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna do this the light version, then I'm just gonna have to do a lesson for you guys a different time because I know a lot of people have been asking about it. I can give some social proof now for some promos that I've run. So I ran this promo. It got Alex Hermosi to make a video about me, but he did not shout me out in the video. But hey, it's all good. It was for a portfolio client of his. Got 118,000 views, and that's why it also put me on the map with a bunch of nine-figure people as well. Um, I wrote the entire funnel for this actually with the help of a really smart protege that I've trained really well named Drew Kutnick. And we wrote the funnel and all the emails and crushed this promo, knocked it out of the freaking park. It was actually 2.9 mil. It wasn't 2.4. That's what the video title actually says. I should have put that in there probably, but oh well. Okay, and then it's crazy is during one of those promos, 1 million of it was made in 12 hours only, and I sent like 8 emails that day. And so this is what happens when you start to implement the 17 um, email profit formula is like your client can be down here. And a little bit of this was seasonal, but actually I don't believe that anymore because this is an older screenshot and we blew this out of the freaking water last year. So when we had the same amount of leads that we were sending to, and this was like right when I started or right before, and then we blew it out of the water and made a ton more. I got to update this screenshot. But it's really cool to see your clients' results just skyrocket through the roof. And a little bit of this seasonal because like January, obviously that's seasonal, but month by month, year by year, this has improved a lot. Yeah. So one of the promos did 2.2 mil. A lot of fat promos, and this all isn't just one client either. This is multiple. Millions is actually not that much when you're dealing with bigger clients. But anyway, I can go on forever. Let me just the gist of the strategy is you want to have the promo use Russell Brunson's perfect webinar formula over the course of the entire promo and within each email. And then you combine that with really targeted segmenting and getting your finger on the pulse of where the list actually is and delivering that content that just like hits them in the soul. And they're like, oh, I have to buy it right now. That's what I'm talking about. Like you can just feel the money being printed as you click send on the email as it's going out to millions of people. You're like, oh, fuck yeah, let's go. It's a high, honestly. It's way better than anything I've ever done. Okay, so removal from blacklists. This is very technical and like easy to figure out, but and also kind of boring, but really important. So usually your email deliverability tools will tell you what blacklist you're on. You can just go to that blacklist website and then you can pay to remove them, but only after you make sure that your ducks are in a row and you're not sending to a bunch of people you shouldn't be sending to, because otherwise you're just going to hit a spam wall and you're going to have lots of problems. Okay. Now here is another really banger important one. Like I've had clients tell me like, Christian, if you can increase our call show up rate by 10%, we'll fly you out to our mansion right now and throw a party for you. Like this, like you would transform our freaking business. And so I'm working on this right now with a few, but some quick tips, so we don't have a lot of time, is you can just send more emails and SMSs. I know that sounds obvious, but here's the kicker. Websites like close.io only send emails and SMSs the day of the appointment. And they'll also send one immediately after you book. So usually calendars let you book out like 3 days in advance. If it's more, then you probably should talk to your client and have them lower it. So what you want to do is you want to sync it up with your email service provider and then start sending emails in between on the way to the call. Next big tip is dangle the carrot and bait them into the actual call. So this is how I won the Alex Hormozy affiliate competition for 100 mil leads by 30%, absolutely crushing the competition. And that was by, I made a post about it here, and it also triggered Alex Hormozy to reply to one of my emails. Fun fact. Basically, you can lay this strategy over your workflows and it can supercharge them. So like a lot of these um, sales strategies, like the perfect webinar formula and stuff that you're using inside of promos, like you can apply into each one of your workflows. So similar to this. But back to what I was talking about was in the Alex Hormozy competition. Come on, go back. We were just dangling carrots the whole time. There we go. Dangling carrots, getting people to actually show up into the call. And so what you want to do is you want to bait them into the call. So, clickbaiting is not a good idea. It depends on the situation. If you have a really high converting sales page, then you can get away with it as long as you're not pissing people off and doing it ethically. But otherwise, a cool strategy is to like tease something that'll be on the sales call. And that way you don't have to clickbait them to show up to a page like with curiosity or something. Like they want to actually show up, and so the business makes way more money along the way. I could talk about this for a long time. It's actually kind of a tricky thing to set up with clients because the sales team like is like kicking and screaming sometimes as you do it. I don't know if you guys have figured this out yet, but like you're going to be friends and enemies with the sales teams of your clients, and you're also going to be their coach in a lot of ways because like they want teed up sales, and you're also going to send them teed up sales, but also you need to have some people that just show up cold. Like today, someone just showed up absolutely cold on my calendar, like doesn't know who I am. So I started from the top and I closed them for 7K. So it's possible. And I back up whatever I suggest to people. So if they want to talk shit, like, let's see. So those are just a couple tips and tricks. There's a lot of other things you can do, such as having the setters actually call and reach out to the prospects, like before the call, like the day of the call in the morning, and be like, hey, you're going to show up. And that human interaction makes someone actually show up. And I know what you're thinking at this point. You're like, Christian, like this isn't exactly related to email. Well, throw that out the window. Like the more you learn about online marketing and stuff, the more value you bring. And so like when you're like, hey, I'm not just an email copywriter writing in a doc, I'm just going to deliver you random words mashed together that like AI is quickly like being able to do on its own. You're like, hey, I'm a freaking strategist. Like, yeah, I just so happen to write Layla Hormozy approved copy, but I know how to like improve every aspect of your business. Like, and I learned all this through email marketing. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like I knew this before. It was all through this. And I was sitting in your shoes um, at one point in my life. So it's possible for you too. Post call workflow. So people that don't show up to the call, but they're not disqualified because they obviously didn't show up to the sales call, they need to get more emails pushing them into the call. So I should change that name, honestly. It should be like no show workflow. DQ, actually, no, that's not the no show. That's the post call workflow. So yeah, it's just like nurturing them about the offer, so they actually bought and it's nurturing them saying, hey, your information's coming soon. Like it's more of a transactional email, but it works really well for ascension into the next offer. The DQ nurture sequence, so they show up to the sales call and they're not qualified for the offer. Then you send them a longer automation that puts them back into our ecosystem, which like funnels them to the different social medias, sends them our best content, like nurtures them until they're ready to take action or the next promo when they can maybe afford it. And then finally, we have the no-show sequence. So they're a hot lead, but they're short on time and they just don't think this is valuable enough. Start sending them emails demonstrating our value and also adding more scarcity and urgency, and you will get them to show up. Also, if you do the dangle the carrots thing, that works really effectively. So in summary, and then we'll get into a Q&A right after. Benefits of being a full stack email marketer. One, clients seek you out, especially if you have somewhat of a presence in social media. I'm not huge at all by any means in social media. I just am a guy who makes content. Like, there's probably people in this chat that have bigger audiences than me. So I know you guys can do this. You don't have to be good at sales calls. Like, I'm not a salesperson, like I get on the call and I say exactly what I'm just telling you guys right now. And the clients close themselves in the call. They're like, hey, this is my offer. Like my offer's so good. Like, please choose me. I know I only have 3 spots. Like I want to work together because I know you're going to get me results. And you're just like, yes. And it's not like I'm magical or anything. I'm just a normal dude who like learned every step of the process. And now I'm here to like give back to the people that helped me. So you keep your clients longer on monthly retainers, should say retainers there. It's yeah, because if they want to replace you, you can back up all the optimizations you've done and how much money you've made them. Then you break down the opportunity cost of them hiring somebody else and firing you. For example, for an in-house person. I've mentioned I've kept all my clients, and since I left Troy's agency. And yeah, I mean, wow, like take me down memory lane. Like, dude, I'm just getting so many flashbacks through my mind of like what happened. And I've been through dozens of clients, guys. It's like, oh my gosh, I feel like my life just flashed before my eyes. But um, yeah. So 4, you get more clients because more clients come to you and beg you to replace their complacent email copywriters who don't know what's going on when results are not coming in. 5, it's easier to learn faster and become a better copywriter and marketer when you become full stack, which makes you improve quickly. That's why I went from $2.90 an hour to 61K a month so quickly in such a short amount of time. And then finally, you sleep better at night knowing a full stack email marketer like myself or my students won't swipe your clients. I just had a client fire everyone on their marketing team, including the ads and sales guy, except for me because I backed my shit up. And he called me late on a Friday and he's like, hey, if you don't double results, you're fired, bro. And I was like, hey, it's okay. I got your back. I'm gonna create a strategy. I'm gonna fix this. Everything will be fine. And he decided to fire everybody except for me and my team. And so you'll often discover that that's your new job as a full stack email marketer is to like be a little bit of a therapist. Like people come at you like anger or stress, and you walk them through the process and take them to the desired result. So here's a little sneak peek on some more lessons coming in the future. I did an additional 2.24 million on top of the 2 to 3 million they were making a month. 650K of it was from a secret strategy I discovered from Steph and Georgie, plus 1.2 million from an email promo to non-buyers without spending a penny on ads. To 400K in an hour or two from email. 3, the system behind 1.2 million generated in 12 hours from one email. 4, doubling the sales of the previous email marketing agency. 5, a client thanking me for an extra 10 mil hitting his checking account in a single quarter. 6, you guys know this one. That's why you're here. 7, turned a client's worst month into their best month, breaking 2 sales record days back to back, like week after week. There were Fridays, by the way. I recommend you close your promos on Fridays. Write that down. Took a client, I already mentioned this one. And then Yeah, my complete system to get clients begging you to send an invoice during a full stack email marketing sales call. And this is just to name a few of the more lessons coming out and my recent wins. So without further ado, open it up to questions, Will. Let's go. You can unmute yourself too if you want, or maybe they can't unmute themselves. Will, did we set that up?
We can ask questions.
All Diane says all customer communication is sales and branding. Yes, facts. Thank you, Jenna. Appreciate it. Okay, cool. We have a question from Steven now. He says, what skills specifically make you full stack besides marketing strategy? Do you mean like being able to run ads, write sales pages, create full funnels, etc.? Very good question. So you do not have to be a full stack marketer to be a full stack email marketer. So for full stack email marketing, all you have to know is how to send the emails, how to set up the emails, and the strategy behind emails. That's it. Nothing else. Like now you'll start to learn other stuff like me as you go along on your journey, like how to write sales pages and funnels and stuff, but don't let that intimidate you. That's not what I'm telling you. You guys need to do to be a full stack email marketer. You don't have to know how to write the entire funnel. I'll throw in tips here and there on like how you can improve yourself as a marketer, but yeah, it's very actually easy and bite sized to just master email marketing full stack. And you'll find yourself naturally like wanting to become a full stack marketer along the way, most likely. Yep, that's it, Diane. Okay. So, Kimberly, in the re-engagement workflow, what was the second email sent? First was test, second was free gift. It works insanely well. Okay, someone answered that for me. Cool. All right, 106K. That sounds like you just escaped like a basement or something. I know we said that last
Yeah,
time, but
yeah,
like
it's cool.
Stranger Things, like she escapes, her name's Six. Anyway.
Yeah.
So can you dive into the re-engagement strategy? What happens once you re-engage leads, send them to nurture automations? Yeah, so basically the only point of these re-engagement automations is to get people to open the email. That's it. So that's
Hmm,
why the subject
hmm,
line is so important. And what you say after doesn't really matter as much because once they open, now we got them and they're in our sending segment again because now they're a
hmm,
7-day opener, which you're sending to. And yeah, most 99% of people are segmenting wrong, which is crazy. Um, like I talked to somebody that built an email agency to 41K a month and he didn't even know how to segment. And so if you know how to segment, you can easily build a marketing agency to 41K a month. I'm telling you right now, because that's the biggest sledgehammer. You walk into a business, you're like, hey, you're segmenting wrong. Your in-house guys like a twad, like, dude, create a better segment for them, be a coach, and you can close a client for like 5K just to be a coach.
hmm, yeah.
I've done that as well. Oh yeah, no worries, Sam. Okay, let's see. Mark Anderson, do you ever add gamification? Yeah, so this is more for the client success side of things. So after the students buy, what makes them actually want to take the course? So yes, a really good person to talk about this too would be Alex Kerr because he's a client success manager. He actually lives in my building. We hang out all the time, so I can introduce you if you want. But yeah, there's lots of different websites and stuff where you can gamify your course. Um, one of our clients just implemented one of them. I can find the name for you later if you want. Okay, Sam Thompson, where do you start when going into business? What processes and automations do you start with? Good question. So I call this the lowest hanging fruit. And that's how I also do my strategy sessions and my posts in Facebook group. You guys can stalk me. You can use my strategies to get clients. I'm being very transparent. I just showed you how much money I made Like, so like go into Facebook groups, search for me, read my posts and make similar ones and go make your bag. I'm completely transparent and it doesn't matter to me. So what I do is I'll go into the business and I'll break out this formula here. So for example, here's a formula. And I'll also change the client's name before I get on the call and make it look like it's personalized for them. And then I'll charge them like a retainer. Like when I was a beginner, it would be anywhere from like 2K a month, and now it's like 7K a month. So this is 30 emails and 10 automated emails. So 40 emails a month for that retainer. And it's the strategy behind that is some of you copywriters may be going, oh, that's a lot of emails. I don't know if I can write that many. Well, it's actually about the same amount of effort to write 2 emails versus 1 email, especially if you're using AI. And I'll create a lesson on that in the future if you guys request it. But I write insanely fast. Like even without AI, I can do like 7 an hour. I mean, I just did a lesson on how I did 27 emails in 2.7 hours. It's free in the Facebook group. But that was using ChatGPT, of course. And it was the first time too. I filmed it live as Loom version, like raw. Like I'm sitting in my bed shirtless, I think, for part of it. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, let's figure it out together, and banged it out. So I got to go redo that lesson because I've learned a lot since then. But yeah, so I'll basically go into here and I'll be like, okay, where have I seen the biggest amount of revenue loss before? And like this is case by case with every client. So a good way to diagnose what to work on first is usually, unless there's a blaring error in the strategy or tech or automations, you're always going to make more money by adding stuff versus tweaking what they already have. So you guys are often going to get clients saying like, oh, hey, okay, let's do a test. Why don't you come in and you rewrite our welcome sequence and we A/B test you to see if you're legit. I know you guys have got that. I'm like, oh, I don't take anything people say seriously. I just like break it down with facts until they get to believe what I believe. So like I bring them into my reality. I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds great, man. Make it sound like their idea. I'm like, and then I ask questions, to get them to come to the conclusion that I want them to come to. So they're like, oh yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's the most logical thing to do. So I'm like, don't you think we should swing the biggest sledgehammer at this list first and make the most amount of money? Or do you want to like sort breadcrumbs? They're like, well, it's my welcome sequence. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, well, yeah. So the copy here is crappy and could be cut down and better. Also, you're going to see like a marginal difference, like maybe 10 to 20%. Like, what if we re-engage 20% of your dead leads? Like we started sending to 20,000 extra people, then what? That could potentially correlate to an extra 20,000, like, 20% more revenue. And then their attitude switches. They're like, yeah, sure, we can sort breadcrumbs if you want and like fight over table scraps with the peasants, or we can leverage the maximum leverage points right now together and make you a bag. Because what makes business owners pay attention is you're like, bro, you're sitting on a gold mine. Opportunity cost is like gnawing at your ankles like a savage dog, and they'll pay attention. So to be a little bit more clear, now we're getting a little bit more granular. Like usually that means a application and book a call, a browse abandons, taking the best converting. You don't have to tell the client this, but taking the best converting broadcasts from the previous copywriter and making the automations longer while making sure you don't hit spam is a huge hack to make the client a ton more money because now they're getting their best converting content on like clockwork. And also, you don't want to start over from scratch without learning from the previous copywriter because context is king. Like I had Alex Hormozzi's marketing manager come into a client and he wrote an A/B test with my stuff versus his, and I beat him. It's because like I have context, bro. Like I know he's seen more businesses and he's like closer to like the big names, but context is king. Um, and so yeah, like I took over a client one time from Jordan Belford's copywriter. They fired him for me, and what I did was I studied everything that he learned from the list, and then I built upon it and made it better. And so I'm like, okay, I have to start at the baseline. Like most copywriters make the mistake of showing up to a list and being like, I don't know what email I should write. Let me just come up with a random idea and write it and see how it does. And it's like, you got to be way more tactical with this stuff if you want to charge the big bucks. But if you're not ready to do that, don't worry. We can get you started now. You can just close clients for like 2 to 3K a month or 1K if you're really not confident yet. 5 clients for 1K is like 5K a month. That's pretty good for a lot of people. Okay, then after that, it could be like upselling buyers. If they haven't upsold buyers in a long time, like you could run a promo to all the buyers and just absolutely clean up. Because some of these people have accelerators that the buyers want to buy, but they're just not pushing it effectively, and the sales team isn't calling them, etc. And implementing this as well. And so those are the ones like you can purchase, you can do on your own without purchasing anything, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's a super beefy question. I mean, I could keep going, bro. Like, but we gotta, for the sake of time, answer some more. I can do a separate lesson on that if you want, like how to identify lowest hanging fruit.
Hey, Christian, I got a
Please
question
do want
for you.
segmenting properly. Okay, you got it, Kim. I'll do it.
Hey, if we had to do one thing
Okay,
every single
Diane,
day,
I mentioned a couple Russell Brunson books. To be honest, like if you are doing this for pleasure, then I liked .com Secrets, and then the Challenge One, Challenge Secrets, and but I mean it's more like beginner level. Like I kind of recommend if like I know you're more advanced than that, so like that's more of like a I'm gonna turn off my brain and I'm gonna learn type of book, which is fun and cool. And I still have Expert Secrets in my room. I'm reading it right now. So, but yeah, I would if your goal is to learn, I would also read some more higher level stuff, which for me in the beginning of my journey when I wasn't making that much money was sitting on my phone in bed and reading crazy award winning sales copy. A lot of gurus would be like, you got to handwrite, bro. I'm like, no, I didn't handwrite anything like, but I also slowly critically broke stuff down and analyzed it and watched videos on YouTube of people breaking down copy. So I knew what I was reading. And so hopefully that answer that gave you a couple options, but I like Russell's stuff a lot. I'm doing David Goggins' new book. That one's funny as hell. But yeah, I'm assuming you want the perfect webinar formula. Instead, I would just go to I think it's in .com Secrets, but I think you can also just Google it and like find a podcast where he breaks it down. If that's what your question was. Okay. So the next question is how do you use urgency and scarcity in emails? Can you talk about maybe 2 or 3 email examples and how you manufacture urgency and scarcity for daily emails or non-promo emails? Okay. Yeah, of course. Here, I'll show you guys my swipe file. So I recommend, I mean, at this point, we're just hanging out, guys. I recommend creating a test account where you open all the emails. And this one's called Yes Open. And you can call another one No Open. You don't open any of those. And then this is where I test all my emails for all my clients. And then so if I want an email done, okay, so here's a good example. At this point, you have 2 choices. I mean, I don't know. I could just copy and paste it into there. This is not one of my clients for the sake of privacy and stuff, but I will send you this email right now just for the sake of giving back to the people. But I write this exact same type of email all the time. This one freaking slaughtered. I don't think it's going to let me send a message that long. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, dude. Um, yeah, basically, it's what I described earlier. It's like you have 2 choices. You keep doing what you do now, or you don't take action, nothing will change. I'll do you a solid here, and I'll show you some swipes that I can share with you because I also agreed to share these. I think I used dashes. Do you have this one, Will? Yeah. Will, I'm gonna answer some more questions. Can you find this for me? It's called book a call email swipes. And I think it's part of, I think it says example right here. You know which one I'm talking about, right? From the last call? Okay, cool. Thank you, dude. Yeah, so those actually have some really cool examples in there. Once he finds them, I'll break it down for you. Oh, you love that lesson for AI, Jenna. Don't worry, it's in the group. Also, I'm going to get the group way more organized. Everything's going to be in the guides tab going forward. And so if you go to the guides tab, you can find the AI and ChatGPT email lesson. So that was cool because you can write, the client actually was trying to leave me and they're like, you have to write 30 emails by tomorrow. And it was like 3 p.m. on a Sunday on Mother's Day to boot. And most copywriters would have curled up in a ball and like cried. But I was like, okay, well, I'm forced to use ChatGPT now. So I have to do it. And then I did a live. So check it out. Hell yeah. Good to see you, Jared Bigman. Man, you were one of the first people I met on my journey, man. Mad love. Usman, if the client is selling online courses, rather high ticket offers, how would you change your 17-step formula? It's exactly the same. If they're selling low ticket courses, what I'm assuming you mean, it would be exactly the same. It's just the AOV would be smaller, and so you'd want a client that has larger lists. So like you're not going to charge 7K a client if their AOV is $300 and the list is only 10K. Like maybe 20K, but even I won't touch that. Like I'll do 20K if the AOV is like 2K because then I'm like, okay, I can knock this out of the park and make them 6 figures a month. And you learn a lot of this stuff just by seeing data. And so like, again, guys, just surround yourself with people that are further along than you and get this data from you. Cause otherwise it's like a hardcore uphill climb. Like I have people in my inbox, man, I've been saying like, I've been stuck at 2K a month for 8 years and I live in a first world country and I've been copywriting the whole time. It's like breaks my heart. So like, I'm here helping you guys for free. Okay, Gerline, welcome back. Yeah, there'll be a replay. I remembered to hit record this time. Steven, what is the best way to apply skills you learned for email strategy / copywriting in the real world if you don't have clients right off the bat? Okay, well, that's actually pretty simple. So there's a few different ways to tackle this. Get a super insanely low paying client like me, like $2.90 an hour. That's one. I don't know if I recommend that, especially if you're living in a first world country. Option two, work for an agency. You're making a little bit more, but still it's brutal and like it feels like getting kicked in the nuts every day. But I had a good time at the agency I was at, but you know what I mean for anybody that's worked for agencies, that can be tough. Three, you work for somebody for free, which is also hard. I've done all these, so I'm speaking from experience on all of them. That's why I lived in super cheap places and racked up hardcore credit card debt. I was living on credit cards in a cartel infested ghetto in Mexico, for God's sake. And I don't say that with like pride, or I don't recommend people do that. It's kind of crazy, actually. But then the next option is often like working for free for somebody leads to an opportunity. But also you can get a friend or a coach. And so sometimes you can wiggle your way into being friends with somebody without paying. That's very, very, very rare though. and usually they're just going to be like kind of annoyed. I haven't tried that personally, but the way I personally approached it was as soon as I got a little bit of money, I would approach a coach and I would give him money, and then we would just become friends as a byproduct, you know, and like there are people out there that have like approachable offers and stuff that you can do. And then once we became friends, it was more like, oh, okay, do you want let's visit each other, let's hang out more. Like, oh, can I just like call you sometimes? Like, you know, and that has worked for me in the past. Even with my current coach right now, like I gave him 10K and then we became friends, and now he's like, hey, fly to South Africa, like let's film some penthouse content. Funny. I ticket coaches, man. I mean, gurus, as they call it. And then you have courses. Finally, you don't have just like, you know, mentorship and stuff. So you have super cheap courses that are garbage that you're probably just wasting your money on. You probably just better off watching free content like this. And then you have high ticket courses. And then you have low ticket masterminds where they kind of depict like the style of information that you consume from them, like similar to like Nothing Held Back and stuff like that. But I'd say the cheapest, most bang for your buck is like a course, like combined with mentorship for a certain amount of time. And the fastest too. Unless you have the wiggle room to work for free for people, then approach it from that angle. But most people don't have that luxury. You have to have like very little responsibility. Hey, no worries, Sam. All right, Aaron, what is the biggest factor in increasing the click-through rate, seeing 32 to 45% opens consistently and less than 1% click-through rate? Actually, these swipes I have would be perfect. Will, I think the name of them is it's part of the 13K. Like I think if you type in 13K into the folder, you'll be able to find it and it'll say example emails. Yeah, my memory's working now. All right, cool. So I'll get back to your question in a bit, Aaron. Yep. Pranav would love to see the lowest hanging fruit lesson. You got it. Anthony Wynn, do you also consult your clients on how to grow their list? If so, how do you approach this list, getting new leads into the email pipeline, etc.? Yeah, so this is more common with smaller clients, and it's kind of a tricky place to be because it's just difficult to like know like how to start working the funnel stuff, especially for an offer that's not as good. But what you can do is here's what I would do if I was in your shoes. Let's say you already got the client, but like you're worried about losing them because they're not growing the list. Okay, classic scenario that we've been in a million times. You test content on the list and then find what works the best and then form a lead magnet around that that works really well. And so like based off of what they can afford and what they want to do is what you're going to go for. So best case scenario for especially for a higher ticket offer and if they don't have a sales team would be a front end webinar VSL, hands down. And then after that, like if they don't have that much money, they're kind of like a ragtag team and it's like smaller, like do a book funnel, but like make it paid, like at least $7 or something like that, you know, and then run it to their social media. And also you can boost posts to have people join through your lead magnet. So I would go to the Facebook ads library and I would search other people in your niche and I would see like what they're boosting posts in and what lead magnets they're using. And then I would make something better. I wouldn't copy them, make something better. So the cool thing about this industry is when you have the answers to figure out all these small problems, like you can overcome any issue that comes your way. And this is the key to keeping clients because they're like, okay, this guy just figures stuff out. I'd be dumb to get rid of him. John, what ESP do you use? So the one I was showing you earlier was ActiveCampaign. I really like it. Lately, I've actually preferred SendLane more, but there are a few nuances with that. Like you have to turn off dual opt-in and stuff like that, but it just has better segmenting and stuff overall and deliverability. But I use all of them. I mean, dude, I use dozens. Like I've had dozens and dozens of clients. So yeah, Mark wants to see the swipes, Will. You think Carlo thinks the doc with the swipe is being deleted? Not true. No, we have it. It's worst case scenario, it's in my um paste here. I recommend getting this app Paste, by the way, because it keeps track of every single thing you copy and paste. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the date that I copy and paste and send it to somebody and then get it from there. Okay, Steven. Yeah, because I was paying 2.5K a month for mentorship and it was good. And I was getting burnt out at my full-time job. Yeah, I feel you on that. It's also you have to know what you're paying for. Like if your copy is not good, that's the first start. You need a copy coach. After your copy is like decent, like you're just kind of throwing money away to keep hiring copy coaches. Like I'm sorry, unless it's like a good at a certain level. And this comes from, like the Layla Hermosi thing. Like after a certain point, you're gonna make way more money by learning the email strategy and tech. And yeah. So I mean, just be careful about burnout. Okay, Pranav, what is your ratio for value and pitch in emails? So I recommend for most of my clients, it's 4 days of value, 3 days of pitching, and also the pitching days are disguised. And then every single day I'm posting links and having CTAs. Like it does not hurt to like have a PS CTA. You want to give them a chance to buy as much as possible. Okay, I'm gonna do a few more lessons and then bounce because I got some stuff to do, guys. And then we'll also get you the swipes. Don't worry. It says deleted. Oh, okay. Well, I can now answer that question, then we'll wrap it up. So sorry if people post more questions after this, but that is all. I'm gonna share my screen, break this down. Can you guys see my screen yet? No, not yet. Okay, you guys are gonna freaking love me for this. Yeah, this is kind of crazy. Oh, this isn't the swipe file. I wonder if someone deleted it. I think I left editing open on that one. So like people, maybe someone like wanted to keep the swipes to themselves and deleted it. That'd be crazy. Well, either way, you guys can have these ones. These are some of the affiliate swipes that are working right now for my clients. And yeah, actually, this client is out of business, so I feel ethically okay with sharing these swipes, but it wasn't because the swipes weren't fire. Yeah, that's actually crazy. There's no way I deleted those. Interesting. All right, cool. Well, I'll find those later, guys, and I'll deliver them to you. But just my only request is don't share them. And if you want the swipes, shoot me a message on Facebook, and then Will and I will send it to you. And I'll send you these right now. All right, guys. Thank you so much for showing up. I'll give you guys a few minutes to click the link before I shut out the call. And this has been a blast. It's really good to see your faces and connect with every single one of you. You guys are rock stars. I know you got this. And just understand that your dream life is only a year or two away, like really short years. Like as long as you stay focused and keep pushing forward, you got this. I love you all. Have an amazing rest of your day. Peace.